I first started 3D modeling because I was creating content for a video game. And there's a lot of people who do that because game developers allow you to make your own stuff and put them in the game. And I actually did some work for the same company. It's supposed to have been paid work, but I don't think I ever got paid for it. Oh well. But this is how I first started 3D modeling. I was building objects for a video game. The first 3D modeling program that I used was a program called AC3D. I was using it to model objects for a video game that I was working with. And I used to make these airplanes, ground display aircraft, stuff like that. And I could use this program to print 3D objects, but it's not the best for it. Sometimes things come out a little weird when you're actually trying to print an actual object, as far as instead of representing it on a video game screen. But I could still use this program, but what I do is I use a combination of programs. I might start out with another program called Blender. Blender is a lot harder to use than this program, AC3D, but it'll do a heck of a lot more. You can even do animation and make a cartoon and whatever you want with it. So I'm trying to move on to Blender because you need something like that to model organic objects. It's one thing to model, knobs, buildings, gears, stuff like that, but if you want to model like a bird or a dog or something, you need something a little more robust. For that, I generally use Blender. A friend of mine had wanted me to make him a knob for an antique amplifier. This isn't the knob, but it's similar to the one he gave me. This is the first prototype. Now, the knob that he gave me had splines in the middle of this hole to go onto the shaft, which I couldn't really model the splines. They were just too fine. But he said that just with the hole in it, it fits over there and it looks fine. He says mostly for looks. It really didn't have to actually work, turn on and turn off the amplifier. But he told me the original knob, or the shaft that the knob goes onto, is a D shaft. That's something that I could model. Now anyway, the one I gave him, it was just a prototype, and so he preferred to have it in black. So I'm going to go ahead and put a D slot in there and see if that will actually be a working knob for him. And it will be printed in black, so that's what I'm going to do. Now, I don't know if you can see it on this program. What I did was I combined different shapes. Turned them around, did all that. And I made the knob out of here. Made the knob out of all those different shapes. So this is the knob that I have with all the internal structure and such. And now what I got to do, instead of cutting a hole, I've got to cut half of a hole. And that's what I'll be working on. Alright, this is my 3D printer. Alright, these are not that expensive, relatively speaking. I bought this one, it was on sale. I got it for less than $300. It was supposed to be pretty user-friendly for beginners. So far it has been. Some of the things I've printed on it, I printed this big gear. I've got a use for that. That I'll tell you about some other time. And done some things like started printing some fishing lures. But today what we're going to be printing is a amplifier knob for an antique guitar amplifier or some sort of amplifier. First thing we're going to do is change the filament out. The filament we're currently using is a kind of a transparent white color. We're going to go with black, so we just pull this old filament out. And we're replacing it with this black roll of filament. Now it says press OK when new color appears. Okay, as we see, the old filament is coming out. Now we see the black is coming in. Okay, I've sent it over to the computer, to the printer. And now it's begun printing. What it does, it lays out layers of plastic filament, heats it up and lays it out on this board here. Alright, well, here's the knob. Let's see what the inside looks like. Kind of ugly. Plastic streaks in there. I can clean that up a little bit. But we'll give it to Chris and see if it works.